If you're looking for information about Asigo, I've got you covered. And I've got some special bonuses if you end up buying through my link. But first, let's jump into this. I'm Kim with Little Biz Resources, and let's talk about Asigo. So what is Asigo? It's an eServices store that automates the selling and fulfillment of Ampifire. And if you're like, I don't know what Ampifire is, that's okay. We're going to be talking about that. This is a simplified system so that you can sell eServices a lot easier, right? It's a drop shipping model. So you sell the service, and then Ampifire, which is the company that fulfills the service, they fulfill it for your client. And this is a little bit different than what the original Ampifire was, and that's what makes it kind of exciting. So before we jump into explaining Ampifire, let's look at why clients need this. Okay, so I've got a couple of real world examples that happened recently, and one of them I implemented, the other one, still working on them, right? But I'm going to give you a local example. So my sister calls me one day and she's like, look, there's a friend of mine. He's got a business. He knows that we've built some websites before. What can we do? Because he is complaining that people can't find him and he thinks he needs a website. And I said, okay, what's the problem? Well, when people go and search for the business name, they're not coming up, but a closed business is coming up. Okay, that's frustrating, but they're losing business, right? They're losing business because people are trying to find that and they can't. So they're typing into their phones, they're typing into their computers, and the company's not coming up. Now, the main problem was that they didn't have a Google My Business account or Maps, it's kind of all shifted now. So they weren't listed in local search results because they hadn't been submitted to Google. And so that was an easy enough solution. However, I've been doing this long enough that just submitting it is not going to guarantee anything. If they had a unique name, yes, but they have an identical name to the company that's closed and they've been driving traffic to the closed listing for months. So I knew at that point, I'm like, they're going to need a little bit more than just a listing. So what I did, I used Ampifire, and I created the Google My Business listing. And when it was, and I submitted it to Ampifire. So when that went live, I pushed the AMP to go out, which we'll talk about what an AMP is in just a minute. And that made it so that within maybe 48 hours, 72 hours-ish of the company listing going live and the AMP releasing, they started ranking in the first spot for their name locally, which is great because I knew that wasn't going to happen otherwise. Now, just because they're listed there doesn't mean they're going to stay there. So theoretically, this should be a recurring service, right? So every month I should be running an AMP for them. However, they have so much business now, they have other issues. So they're fixing those other issues, and then we'll revisit recurring and making sure that we fine tune a little bit for what they need. Now, this other one is a trading company so it's investment, and that's an industry that's kind of harder to do, but a friend of mine said, hey, you got to invest in this company. And I was like, oh, okay. He's giving me all these great results. He's been in it for years. His cousin's been in it for even longer. And I'm going, oh, that sounds really good. Okay, great. And I'm like, I'm going to do my research, right? So I go and I type the name in. Nothing comes up. Not even their website. And I'm like, there's a bunch of other random stuff that comes up, but not for them. So I was like, okay. And so I start doing more research. I can't find anything. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, oh my gosh, why should I do business with the company that doesn't show up anywhere? They have no social media presence, no news articles, no nothing, right? I'm not the only one that does this, right? People do this all the time for businesses. They look up the information, they look up the brand name to see if there's any information they can find, and they look through the results. And if there's no results, there's going to be a percentage of people that say not interested, right? And then plus, to add to that, Google requires kind of like branding now. They have a popularity contest going on, right? So when you're doing a search, even for a keyword, if your company's not well known, it's not branded very well or anything, or your clients in this case, then you're gonna have a real tough time ranking and staying ranked. So branding is really, really important. And we call these branding and visibility services. And that's because when people type in the brand name, you should be showing up in search results, not just for your website and social media, but on news sites, on other article sites, you know, on just all over the place. And if a client's not ranking and showing up for multiple things, they need branding and visibility services. They also need it if they have negative information, because you want to push that negative information down. You can't remove it unless it's illegally put up there, but good luck with that. And then once you've got them branded for their name, their business name, you can expand into specific keywords. And if you're into search engine optimization, you can like build that up more, which you don't have to be into search engine optimization to do Asigo or Ampifire, right? You don't need to be into that. But that's just if you are into that, this is another way to help support that. So what is Ampifire? Now, Ampifire is super cool. I love it. I do love it. I love using it. we're building a marketplace, and I finally got to the point where I was ready to start releasing stuff. And I'm like, I've got stuff scheduled. I'm like, oh, I can't wait till it starts working. And because I already know what it's going to do, right? I've used it for local businesses. I've used it for my own sites that are bigger, and I've used it for other people's sites that are, you know, national, not necessarily local. And so I've used that to help them rank for different things, to help them get visibility. And a lot of times they're happy with just a few times. They don't need it to be recurring because they tend to get too much business anyway. But that's my clients, not the clients you're going to be going for. Asigo and Ampifire both teach a better method than what I use to get clients. My version of getting clients is the beginning business people, but that's my market. So I charge less and everything else, and we'll talk about that. So Ampifire is basically, you have two things. You can write an article, or you can have them write an article. And so I'm showing you Ampifire, but this is Asigo, right? This is what powers Asigo. So it's the same thing. It's just Asigo automates it. Now, Ampifire is pretty automated, but there is, and I'll show you why, there is a point where you have to do too much work if you want to build. So you start off with the article, and then they push it out to different places, and they have examples on here. This is actually from the Ampifire sales thing from like 3 years ago or something. And they've got, you know, Vimeo and YouTube, SlideShare, Podbean, Buzzsprout, blog. So they put blogs on here. Facebook, Twitter. So that's kind of social media. And then they have like some examples on here. Google News, Bing News, BBC News, Fox News. There are no guarantees to get on any of these, but there are, like some of them are pretty guaranteed, but some of them are less guaranteed. So you might be posted on there and never find it, right? And then some of these, they show up. Like I remember I didn't even tell that local business that I was doing it. I knew it needed to be done. I didn't even tell them. So I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden my sister gets a text message from them going, oh my gosh, you got us on whatever. It was a local news station. And I'm going, what? And so she told me, and I pulled up the link. Let's go, oh yeah, there it is. And so it was funny that I ran that, and it ended up in the local one here, and the clients loved it. They thought it was the greatest thing, and they thought we did something special for that, which I guess technically I did. So it was pretty cool to see that and have them be so excited about it. And you can do that. You'll get a report, and you can go in and say, oh, look, we've got you on here, here, and here, and, you know, highlight just a few of them. But there was like the last AMP I ran had 400 that they picked up, and there's probably more that they hadn't picked up. So these are just some examples of where it could be, and there's tons more of where they will be that aren't listed on here. So like I said, over 400 is what the last one was that when I ran an AMP. So I'm going to show you Ampifire so you have an idea of why there's kind of a First of all, Ampifire doesn't have a website, right? You have to set up your own website, your own system for selling. And a lot of it is, okay, I'm just going to call the client, get the credit card number, or send them a PayPal invoice or something, right? Which PayPal in and of itself, or Stripe or whatever, it's a little difficult to manage. Now in this case here, you're going to have you would say create a new AMP. You can say create it for me or create it myself. I have plenty of credits, so I say create it for me. I bought a ton. And then how often should we create an AMP? You can do it every month or just once. Now the problem I have with every month is that they get to get creative, right? The Ampifire team gets creative. And one time they went like 4 months in a row and did like the exact same AMP. Like they're like, oh, it was all about e-commerce. I have one article about e-commerce. I'm like, what about the other articles? Can you pick any other article? Why that one? And it's because the Ampifire system's not as set up as Asigo is, right? So it does work if you want to do a little bit of automation. If you have a client, you would just onboard them, put the information in. You have to go through support to change and everything else. You need to watch the information on Asigo to see how it's different, but I'm showing you Ampifire so you have like kind of a base knowledge here. Then you just go in and you fill out the information, right? And so they have a training, Ampifire at least had a training on how to figure this out. A lot of this you don't have to do with Asigo because they have it all set up. So again, watch the Asigo information to learn details on that. But this one is pretty easy, right? You stick in the information, you say what you want to focus on, you provide a link to the page, or Google My Business listing or whatever it is. And you can provide up to like 3 links in these. So you can just provide one and then you can go back in and add them if you wanted to. Then you would upload images. There's a couple of screens after this I didn't take screenshots of just because I have too much business or client information on there. And the next one is like you put in the business information and contact and everything else. Now that's it. And then you submit it and you wait. So it's not like Ampifire is not almost there. It's just you still have to manually do it. So if you think about that, if you have 20 clients, you're sitting down and doing that every month. At some point, you max out on the amount of time that you can dedicate to logging into Ampifire and doing that. Asigo takes that away, right? So how much can you charge for Asigo services? Now, I personally group the Ampifire, because I don't have Asigo yet, but I personally group Ampifire with other services like rebuilding a website, Google My Business listings, which is Maps listings, social media management, stuff like that, where I'm doing visibility things. So I give them this package and I can charge more. So for example, I might charge, instead of $2,500 for a website, I might charge, $3,500 or $4,000 for the website and say, look, this is what we're also doing, right? And I just put in a bunch of different things and stack that value for them. Now, a lot of people in the Ampifire group report $500 to $1,500 plus, depending on the company, per amp that they run. So if they run 4 amps in a month for somebody, times 4, right? So they might do, okay, well, if you want monthly, once a month, it's $1,500. But hey, we'll do 3 for $3,000, right? So now they're getting a break of $500 per amp, but it's still per month. And I mentioned this in the blog, I forgot to put it on here, but the cost is roughly $100 an amp, right? So roughly right around there. So if you're paying out $100 for that amp, then you're collecting anywhere from $500 to $1,500 for that. And it's all automated when it's through Asigo. Now there is some setup. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you're just going to buy this and it's a done for you system. You've got some stuff that you have to do because it's still going to be your business. But once it's set up, it's generally going to be done. Now this should be a recurring service. So I have seen some people offer packages like I did, but they do it so that they charge 6 months or a year because they know it has to be recurring. So they go, look, we'll work with you for the next 6 months. And then after that, you can renew the contract or whatever. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we'll give you a break if you buy for a year. So we might say, okay, if you buy the whole year, we're going to give you 2 months of it for free, right? Something like that. Now this is from Asigo. You only need 9 to 21 sales to make $100,000 plus per year, and that's profit. Okay, so, and that's of course depending on the client. So that's why it's 9 to 21. There was another number somewhere in their stuff that said like 40 or something, that, and you can make a certain, you'll have to look at the video, but it's not hard. And I'm not going to say it's easy. You have to do the work, but it's not hard because these are things that people need. Now I'm going to look at some examples here of what this. So Adam reported $107,299 in 11 months. I don't know Adam. I don't know Brent. $65,417 the first 60 days. I don't know Justin. $136,800 1 year. They're all in the Ampifire group. Denker is super active. And which is funny, they put $4,191 in the first 15 days because Denker is good at this stuff. He is very good. And I don't think he's quite as knowledgeable as I am at like SEO and everything, but he can rock it. And he knows a lot though still. And I think he's learned along the way. But I put another one on here that they had, and they said $150,000. Yes, that's the deal that I just closed yesterday. The client wired $30,000 as the first month's deposit. Okay, so $30,000 a month. They're doing a 5-month, looks like probably a 5-month, maybe even a 6-month run. $150,000. I don't know what the costs were. Probably not very much, because at $100 an amp, they probably did. If he's doing $30,000 a month, it's not for 1 amp a month, right? He's probably doing multiple locations. So let's just say, maybe 5. Maybe he's probably doing $1,000 an amp there, and per location, right? So think about that though. I mean, even if you're only making $900 profit, so you're making 90% profit on that, that's still pretty good. Pretty good. That's still really good. All right. So why Asigo? It is passive. You set up the system and it's automated. That's one of the biggest benefits of Asigo versus Ampifire or, other things. In fact, I teach, and I'm setting up the course right now. I taught 9 services that you could learn and offer, but now I'm doing 19, and they're all really easy to do. You can learn them and you can offer them. This is one of them, branding and visibility services. This is one of the paid sources that I recommend. I actually recommend Ampifire now that Asigo's out. If you can get Asigo, I recommend that. If not, go back to Ampifire and then wait until Asigo's released again. So if it gets released again, I don't know. I'm not their company. No, it's scalable. This is the biggest thing. It's scalable. Like I said before, at some point, you're going to get to the point, you could easily have one client that has maybe 20 different locations, and you have to do 20 different inputs a month for that, right? Or a week, if that's what you agree on. Now you're like, oh, hey, who cares? I'm getting the money for it. You're going to cap out, right? You're going to cap out on that. And on top of that, what if you get sick or you want to go on vacation? You have to do it. With Asigo, you don't. It's automated, right? So now there's still, like I said, a little bit of setup at the beginning, and there's probably some management throughout it, but it's way more passive and way more scalable than Ampifire is on its own. And Ampifire is what powers this. So it's still going to be the Ampifire team and everything else. They just put the software together now to make this automated. So it's passive, it's scalable, and it's profitable. This is something that's necessary for businesses now. I use it for my businesses. It's the only way I got them to be able to move. I have tons of tricks up my sleeve, and I just don't have the time for all the free resources, right? I mean, I have a whole list of free resources that I can use. I don't have the time. I just don't. So instead, I use Ampifire, and it moves the needle. It helps me start ranking. It helps me start making progress. It helps me show up in searches, right? I do everything right, and I can't get it to move until I do that. This is a screenshot from the video that it links to, and it's the eService drop shipping model. So the customer pays you pay Ampifire, and they provide the service to the customer. So it is drop shipping eServices. It's one of the best models right now that you can get into, especially if you want to work with clients and you want to help other business owners. That's a big thing, right? Now, how much work is there to do? Another screenshot from them. You can see J. Crews down in the corner. You deploy your store by cloning our copy and paste eStore. Most likely that's going to be in Convertri, by the way, because they have Convertri as a bonus. I'm guessing they have a Convertri template. Aim and fire using our proprietary traffic software. So they're going to talk more about this in the webinar exactly, but it's basically you're going to target your audience, right? And then they say get paid. So once you start making sales. It's the setup is the biggest thing. And then marketing, right? And we spend, as business owners, we spend so much time doing the marketing. It's like you get exhausted by the time you finally get a client, you have to do the fulfillment. You're like, oh my gosh, that was so much work. And it's like, now once you get them into the system and it's recurring, it's not that big of a deal. But if you can automate the delivery of it, that's even better. So let's talk Kim's bonuses, because you can, buy this from anybody or whatever, and it's going to be the same price. It doesn't matter. And you're going to get everything. Everything you need for Asigo is going to be provided by Asigo. So the bonuses that I'm offering are just to help you add more automation to generate leads. And it's something that I thought about this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what can I do? Because there's so many things I could give you that's total crap, right? It's not going to help you at all. Oh yeah, get this course on Pinterest. How does that help you? Right? And if you want it, you can still get it. But I thought of some things to say, okay, this is how I'm going to help you. And as a way of saying thank you for going through my link, since I'm an affiliate. So I do make money when you make the purchase through my link. and it helps me pay for my daughter to go to the doctor. Then there are exclusive bonuses and non-exclusive bonuses. So non-exclusive bonuses are bonuses that a lot of us are offering that are provided by a third party, right? And so those are non-exclusive. You can check my site and get the link to that if you want to see them. I'm only going to cover the exclusive bonuses because they're awesome and amazing. So bonus number 1, FunnelMates Account. If you don't know what FunnelMates is, it's a funnel building software, and I use that term loosely, but it's with a twist. And the part that's the benefit of it is that there's a built-in affiliate center. Like there's all these affiliates that are in there. And you can build a funnel for lead generation. Say you want to give away an opt-in, right? Oh, I have this checklist of something, which I've got you covered on that too. But you say, okay, I want to give this away. So it would just be, I'm going to give you guys as much. I have to figure out how to give you the template. So far, I've only built them for myself. So how do I give you the template is the question. But I can give you a FunnelMates account, and I can give you all the assets, and as much as I'll walk it as much as I can to hand it to you so it's done for you as much as possible. And that's going to be, you're going to recruit leads that way and say, okay, affiliates, hey, I have this opt-in and I want you to offer it so you can collect leads. And then you can build past that if you want to, where you're saying, hey, well, I'm going to have them sell the service as well, and they're going to get 10% of the recurring or something, right? That's up to you. That's going to be beyond the scope. I'm just going to teach you the first part, give you the account, and give you the beginning of the funnel where you do the opt-in and then get them into your sequence. So that I put $100 value on there. FunnelMates isn't super expensive. The value is it's maybe $40, but the value is in the opt-in and the information. Now, the Asigo bonus number 2 is, sorry, I had somebody walking in. 3 website templates. Now you're like, Kim, I don't know what I'm going to be using, but inevitably one of your clients will want you to build a simple website. They're going to come to you and they're going to say, look, I have a website. Something's wrong with it. It's not working. I can't find it. You're doing all the stuff you can. It's not showing up in search. And you can go back and say, look, there's something wrong with your website, right? You don't want to have to pass that off on to somebody. If you need to, you can build it. And it's a lot easier to do with a template. Now, a lot of these have templates built in, but they're not optimized. So I'm going to build 3, which I haven't done yet. I'm not going to do it until after Asigo closes. I'm going to do 3 templates for WordPress, 3 for Convertri, and 3 for Groove. And these are great these are the templates, right? So I have Convertri sites for clients right now. I have Groove sites for clients right now. I have WordPress sites for clients right now. WordPress is my favorite. But if you decide to go with Convertri because you're doing Convertri with Asigo, then I want you to have the Convertri templates. They have some templates in there, but they're not all optimized and built ideally for, I mean, obviously you can adjust it and use what's in there, but I'm going to build you the ones that have been very effective for my clients. So that way you can say, hey, I know this is a $2,500 template because Kim uses it for her clients, right? So I'm going to make sure I have those templates for you as well. So if you have to build a site for a client, you can, it's one that works, and I'll have video instructions and how-to template, how-to checklist or whatever. And it's all really super easy. You just have to get the assets from your client. You get the pictures, a lot of it's copy and paste. So it's not that big of a deal. And you would be able to set that up. I will be doing a video on how to do all of this, right? Then of course, optimization to help make your amps work better. So this is a big part of it. I see a lot of people who want to run an amp, or they want to use it for like SEO stuff. And they're like, I want to rank for this keyword. And I go back to them and I go, why is it not on your website then? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And that's something that you have to keep in mind. So checklist to help you go through how to add that in, where to put it in. And then of course you can decide which one of these is best. Like I like WordPress for my sites because I do posts. And when I do a post, I can automate putting everything out, right? Convertri and Groove are a little harder to do that on, but we'll talk about ways that you can do that. And that'll be all part of your kind of bonus in this. And then, of course, checklists and options to boost optimization even more. So if you're like, hey, I need to optimize them even more, here are some tips and tricks to, if they're in a really competitive industry. Asigo is going to do the hard work. This is going to be a little bit of fine tuning so that it's a little bit more effective, right? If you end up needing to do the website, which inevitably you will end up with a client that needs that. Now, Asigo bonus number 3 for me. Messenger bot lead generation service. If you look in the link to the non-exclusive, you're going to get like 3 months to a different service one. This one uses my software that I'm on, and this is by far my favorite bonus, by the way, because it's really cool. So in the spirit of automation, we're going to use Messenger. You can use it for Facebook or Instagram, I should say. And if you're looking at the post, I may not have removed this yet, but I did figure out how to use it with Instagram for your Instagram. The process is going to be automated. So it's hard to explain in here, and I'm going to do a separate video, but it's basically you have a post and it drives people into Messenger, and everything in Messenger is automated from there and walks them through a funnel. It could be a couple of steps. It could be a 2-step thing, and it's going to be, and I will have a template. I'll set it up, and then you can run with it, right? You have to add me as an admin. That's the one catch. You have to add me as an admin because you're going under my software. So you're basically becoming a client of mine so I can manage it. You're going to still get access to it. You can do whatever you want after it's set up, right? You can add in more. I teach this as one of the services, one of the e-services that can be offered. So if you're like, hey, I want to expand on it, I want to do more, that's going to be in that 19 services video that I'm working on. It's $1,000 setup value to set it up. That's what we charge, is $1,000 to set up. And not just me, everybody who uses this software does $1,000 setup fee. Well, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people do. I have prepaid for an entire year of this software. So you have at least 10 months with it. And that's huge, right? Unlimited subscribers. The cost for an unlimited subscriber plan for this software is $249 a month per page. So that's times 10 months. That's $2,490 just for that. If you have both Facebook and Instagram, it's double, right? So I put a value of $34.90, but it could be more. Plus, I'm not going to just cut you off after 10 months. You know, I'm probably going to keep this for years, and you can stay under me as long as you want. I'm not going to kick you out or anything. But there's also another thing I didn't put on here, is that you can't be running a shady page, because I'll just cut myself off as an admin and you won't be able to connect anymore to mine, to the paid version. So there's just something to keep in mind. So if you're like, hey, I promote something completely inappropriate and I'm going to get on Kim's chatbot. No, you're not. Just putting that warning out there. You'd be surprised how many people try to add me as an admin that are have some shady Facebook pages. So, all right, make sure you click the link in the description. If you want to get the bonuses from me, you have to go through my link, and that's because there is a cost. You know, like I said, that Messenger software costs me money. So it's not like I'm giving you stuff that I get for free. You know, I'm putting stuff together. I'm giving you resources. These are all things that I charge for and cost me money to either make and or offer. So that's why when you purchase through my link, that's why I offer them to you, right? You're going to get a lot of additional resources from me when you purchase through my link. I'm going to give you more stuff. I'm going to just, like, if you need it, let me know, and I probably have it, especially if it's related to Ampifire and Asigo. If you want to expand beyond Asigo or Ampifire, you'll get access to the 19 services course. It's a free course that I'm putting together. And you can offer a nice variety. You can go in and say, hey, you can ask me questions. That's one thing you're going to get, I didn't put on here, is that you'll get access to me directly, right? It won't, maybe it will be my phone number. Just don't abuse it. I will block you. But yeah, you get access directly to me, so you can ask me questions and you can build on that. I don't know if I'm going to get Asigo. Right now, I don't need Asigo because I have Ampifire. So I'm torn on it, but I got a few days to decide. Right? I'm like, well, do I want to just throw money into it and just transfer everything to Asigo? I don't know. We'll see what the video says. I'm doing this before the video launches, so we'll see. But I will be using Ampifire forever because it's amazing. So I do like the Ampifire stuff. If you end up missing out on Asigo, then I do have a link right now for Ampifire. But again, it's not automated. So I do recommend Asigo if you're interested in selling the services. And yeah, so click the link. And if you want to stick with automation, I'll also teach you how to add on a second booster service, right? In fact, we might be able to negotiate that as an additional bonus for like a test for you or something. But again, those are all things that we can talk about afterwards. So if you have questions, hop into the Little Biz Resources Facebook group, ask questions in there, because that's the easiest way. You can tag me. I generally see it. I generally check in there every other day or so. If you don't tag me, I don't always get notified. Facebook's decided it's no longer going to notify me on things I want to know about, just things I don't want to know about. I know I'm not the only one that has that problem. But like I said, if you hop into the Facebook group, you can tag me and ask me questions. So that is it for now. I really do think it's worth taking a look at, even if you are like, hey, I don't want to sell eServices. I recommend taking a look at Asigo just so that you can say, hey, this is useful for my business, right? And you can understand it better. And you may find out that you're like, hey, I think Asigo's amazing still anyway, because they have a monthly charge on it, which I talk about in the post, which, by the way, I'll put a link to the post as well, that they have a monthly charge that's recurring because they need to maintain those connections and everything to keep the automation. But they also include 2 amps, which was from Ampifire. They include the 2 amps, which is like a phenomenal deal, right? And that keeps it at about $100. So you could buy Asigo and use those 2 amps every month for your company until you're ready to scale up to selling services. And it would cost you the same as if you were, selling the services. You'd still have to get those 2 and everything. So anyway, I think it's a great value. I recommend taking a look at it. If you have questions, hop into the Little Biz Resources Facebook group, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.